Hey guys, this is Sarah's Night, and right quick I decided to go ahead and take a run through Mega Man X4 since I think I'm the most familiar with that and can get through that the quickest. Just to kind of, I mean, the thing is, I did X5 through X8 all, these past 7, 8 years, and it was only for the purpose of finishing what one of my real life friends, Ixion, started. His channel is linked to mine, I believe, so you can check out his LPs if you want. And it just so happened, he didn't want to go past X4 because, well, I don't think he liked any of the X games after that, even though the only one I hate that comes after X4 is X7. But I just happened to be invited to when he LP'd Mega Man X4. I tagged along on that one, which I also linked to on a previous X7 or X8 episode, I believe it was. And this is by far my favorite. Between X4 and X8, all the games in that range, X4 is by far the best. So I wanted to go through that right quick. Really, the only major issue I have with X4 is the music. The music's a little lacking. I mean, you can still kind of rock out to, which I know is like probably the main reason anybody likes music from any of the Mega Man X games. If you can just kind of rock out to it, if it just sounds badass, then you're satisfied with it. But a lot of them I just don't really like. But it's not that they're bad to hear in the way that like X7's or X8's music was overall not very listenable. Like, that was bad in terms of just lame. It's like, that's totally what I would not expect to be an X game, music-wise. So, but other than that, I really love this game. It used to be my absolute favorite in the X series, but if I had to be realistic, like I said at the end of the Mega Man X8 LP in the last episode, I was just kind of summarizing how I felt about all the games 1 through 8. Well, I have to be real and say that X1 and X3 are the best. That's probably what just about every fan would say. So I'm not saying it just to, just kind of blend in with the crowd. I mean, at first I thought I was being kind of an outlier by thinking X4 was the best, because probably the average fan really doesn't like any of the games past X3, maybe, and definitely not past X6. A lot of people hated X6, it seems, but I personally thought it was really good. So, yeah. If I had to be real, X4 does still come after 1 and 3, with X6 in 4th place. I think I give X4. I gave it like a 7.5 overall out of 10, which is still really good. That's like a B average for me. So yeah, we should be able to pretty much zip through this in an hour and a half, 2 hours total. And I'm just gonna do Zero story. That it was also nice that they, you can have 2 different modes of gameplay, like 2 different campaigns, and I mean, you're gonna fight the same bosses, the same stages, but there are a few differences aside from the way that X and Zero fight their attacks. A long time ago, sometime in the mid 2000s, I recorded this game on VHS. I was still in those days. I clung to the VCR way of viewing and recording media for a long time, much longer past the VCR's prime, and I do not apologize for that. But yeah, in that playthrough, which is going to be really hard to kind of translate to the PC where I can upload to YouTube, I distinctly remember on Zero's game, I managed to beat both the 2 major bosses aside from Sigma, both Colonel and General, like without ever taking any damage. I was just kind of proud of that. And of course, here's like the most baller of the Maverick bosses in any X game is Magma Dragoon. Any casual X4 fan should definitely remember him well. What I also thought was really good was the addition, since this, this is the first PlayStation title, past the, what would SNES and Sega Genesis be, the 5th generation of consoles? Or 4th? Yeah, I think it's the 4th. So starting with the 5th generation on, with PlayStation N64, this was the first of the Mega Man games, as far as I know, aside from Mega Man 8 possibly, since that was also PlayStation, to have animated cutscenes. And I definitely, at the time, I thought anime cutscenes were like, whoa, that's super awesome technology right there. And I just love the anime art style so much. Even if a lot of the anime I actually have watched, looking back on, I'm like, yeah, that it actually sucks. But the art style, I will almost always be a fan of, except for very particular sub-styles, like say Fist of the North Star. I did not, that's an anime, but I hated that kind of art style, for instance. But having anime cutscenes in this was really good. Yeah, voice acting is lacking, but you really could not expect much in a lot of earlier games, especially on consoles that are more primitive than the PlayStation. You definitely really could not expect good voice acting. And this does seem to have a little bit of an issue with choppiness, losing a few frames, but I seem to be able to manage it just fine without looking terribly ugly, so I'm not going to worry about it. Also a really good character I liked. I mean, she doesn't have much time for development because this is the only game she's in, aside from, I think, she's also in Mega Man Extreme 2, which was on the Game Boy Color, I think. I never played that one. I played a little bit of Extreme 1, that was it. But I think Iris was who you'll see in the little background frame over this game. On the left there, the brunette-headed girl. I think Iris was in Extreme 2. And I just like her. She's just that kind of character, you just want to give a hug to her. I mean, she doesn't do anything to annoy you, make you hate her. She just kind of makes you pity her and want to protect her and stuff like that. So I always did like Iris. Colonel is also pretty cool. And this is the cutscene where kind of the summary, the plot is summarized here. What's the conflict that's about to get going?
We will build our own nation of Reploids. But remember, this is neither about insurrection nor rebellion against our human creators. This is about our liberty and security. We must battle for our own individual rights and our own survival. Together we will build our nation, a sanctuary for all Reploids, our own utopia. Let us forge onward towards a new golden era for the Repliforce.
I too share the general.
Although one thing I did kind of think was always thought was lame was the part, when the Repliforce, just the nameless masses are cheering. They kind of sound bored almost.
We are the Repliforce, the most powerful army in history.
So yeah, if you really think about it, the entire Reploid army, and really as far as I know, the only other group of Reploids outside of the Repliforce are the Maverick hunters. Those that are still sane anyway. Somehow they're both so freaking gullible that Sigma managed to manipulate them into a war with each other by having the Sky Lagoon, which was the first stage of the game that we went through right quick, the prelude stage. They, Sigma somehow managed to pin it on the Repliforce that, they all went Maverick somehow, so now they're going to have the Maverick Hunters after them. Now I do think this is probably offhand, this is probably my favorite out of all the X games. This is probably my favorite hunter base boss selection music, so I will give credit to this game for that. And honestly, the Japanese version of the intro movie, which if you were listening to that as I was talking towards the beginning, I like for some reason the original like Japanese song in the Japanese version, it was like a vocal version, and I really like it. I have it saved on my computer. It's definitely in my music collection. I don't know why they took it out and replaced it with just kind of a lame, just the lame track that you saw there. It didn't even have vocals or anything. So I'll link you to that so you'll know which one I'm talking about if you don't already know what song I'm talking about. I think translated to English, the song did kind of have a stupid title. It was something like "Unbeatable Love." I surely have. Like, yeah, the song title could use a little improvement, but the song itself, I really like it, so I'll link to that below. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't noticed, I'm able to... I mean, hey, I might still die once or twice, but if you haven't noticed, I'm kind of going through this a lot faster, a lot more confident. I'm more aware of what's coming, that kind of thing. Although I am taking a lot of damage here, so let's be careful. Hup. You can get those guys from the ladder, that's nice. See, in a lot of ways it's a lot easier to play as Zero, because his attacks, while short-ranged, unlike with X, are far more powerful overall. Good, got an energy capsule there. The trade-off is that Zero, in general, especially in the later games, it was definitely noticeable in X6, you know, X doesn't have, I mean, Zero doesn't get any of the special armors or anything, so overall he's going to have to take the same amount of damage every time. X, you know, once he gets a full set of armor, will end up taking only half as much damage, so he can take a lot more punishment. But overall, I think in all the X games, I do like playing as Zero more. Not that I necessarily think one character is cooler than the other, I like them both. So anyway, I was actually at Atlantis' house just now for a hangout session, and we went through, if anybody's still wondering, I have not forgotten about the Skies of Arcadia LP that, again, I can only do when I'm over at his place. But we went through, because if any of you were keeping up with the last few episodes, I suddenly started noticing how little damage output I had, and you know, the bosses kind of took a turn for the more powerful, so I was starting to lose very easily to them. When I was at Atlantis just now, I decided probably what I needed to do was not only level up a bit, but also you know, use a walkthrough or something to go on a search for all the moonberries that I started just kind of passing up. Not really caring about whether I found them in dungeons or not, probably by about the halfway point through the game, because that's where we started finding ones I passed up. We went through pretty much the entire list of places from start of the game to up to the part where I've left off, which is right before the final dungeon. And we found a few, because I knew Vice's, his last super move, which would take like 5 moonberries to get, that was by far the more powerful than his Cutlass Fury. So even if, you know, even if I was still kind of underleveled, it should definitely just naturally do a lot more damage than the Cutlass Fury attack would do. So we're going to use that to kind of as our main damage output for the rest of the LP. You know, I decided to do that off camera because we ended up spending a few hours on that, just running around finding the moonberries and then just leveling up in one particular part of the world that actually had a decent chance of giving up moonberries naturally after every random battle. So we'll kind of take you through that a little bit in summary when we next get on it. I am slated to go back and hang out with him in about 2 weeks, so we decided to try to finish the LP there. It should be about 2 more episodes, hour and a half or so each. Oh, almost did that damage free. Oh, let's not screw it up here. Because getting caught in that web part, that actually would take off almost a third of Zero or X's health. So for, I mean, in terms of damage output, he's actually pretty powerful for a first boss. But I almost always do lightning web spider. Sorry, the attack I get from him is lightning web for X, and then like some kind of just straightforward lightning saber. I don't know how to pronounce the. I don't know how to pronounce that for Zero, but yeah, his name is actually Web Spider, not Lightning Spider. And there's Iris just being cute on the right side of the screen, just guiding me where to... I think the story is that she's kind of taken refuge with the Maverick Hunters because, you know, she cares for both Zero and her brother, but her brother is determined to fight on the side of the Rebel Force for honor's sake. You know, she doesn't really know what to do with herself right now. And I guess she's wondering, you know, she's taking refuge here because, well, she doesn't know if the Rebel Force might be out for her, you know, looking for her. I'm sure they wouldn't do her any harm, especially with Colonel in charge, but you can tell that, you know, he clearly cares for his sister. I did like the story behind them. Let's see. Yeah, it's a shroom split mushroom that's weak to the lightning attack. But yeah, the story was something like, and it might have been Dr. Kane. I think eventually, like, pretty much all Reploids, you know, stem from his research. He found X, and then, you know, at the very beginning of this time period, you know, the beginning of the X series, you know, he found X buried in a capsule, and then, like, you know, studied him, used his design to create, you know, the new army of robots for this age called Reploids. And so I guess, you know, in a way, Colonel does ultimately come from him, but whoever actually physically created Colonel and Iris, it was something like they wanted to have both a pacifist but also like aggressive fighting spirit, like, you know, when times would, you know, be drastic enough to call for it. They wanted to have that in the same Reploid, but they just couldn't reconcile the two different personalities in the same, structure. So they decided to just kind of split the difference between two actual... Okay, we are really starting to hang up here. So they couldn't split the difference. I mean, they had to split the difference between two actual robots and just decided to kind of give them a personal relationship with one another as best as you can program human-like robots, the Reploids, to do that. So that's why Colonel and Iris are considered brother and sister. So I thought that was an interesting backstory. There's a lot of little backstories like that with just about every character. Okay, we're getting a little bit iffy here. And this music right here was pretty good as well. I wasn't crazy about Jungle Spider stage. It sounds almost the same as the Jungle stage in Mega Man X5. They didn't really get too creative there. But this one kind of has an eerie tone to it I like that seems to fit with the environment. And Web Spiders. Lightning Strike will do very nicely for this. I think we also get an energy capsule right after this. One more should do it if I time it just right. Okay, gotta be a little bit more cautious going up this flight of stairs because the enemies are more numerous than the previous section. So if you just go through this carelessly, you'll end up taking a lot of unnecessary damage. That shield guy got me pretty good, but luckily he gave me an energy capsule. I'm not going to try to grab that until I have double jump. Which I actually get from Web Spider, so... So also, while we were hanging out earlier tonight, I was telling Lantis about this is first bit of vacation I've taken off of work in a long time, and I just did like 3 overtime days in just the 2 weeks before this, which is a lot in that period of time considering these are 12-hour shifts that I do. So I finally just forced myself to take vacation for this week, and he was like, you know, so okay, what you gonna be doing? I was like, pretty much, you know, nothing at home. I mean, like nothing that's like considered productive, I guess, unless you somehow count video games as such. Not doing like housework or, you know, remodeling or any important errands to run outside or anything like that, but you know. So I did tell him I took this opportunity to start up another game of Resident Evil Revelations, and I know that's an RE game that I still need to LP. But I just wasn't confident on LPing it, considering I've only played it once before, and I really was not good at it first. So I thought, you know, I should do it one more time, try to get like a newfound appreciation for it, possibly, since, you know, I kind of neither Lantis or I thought this was one of the better RE games. It's not that it sucked. I mean, honestly, it's still better than Resident Evil 6, for instance, and I'll definitely play it any day over Gaiden. I knew it was at least better than that, and overall right now I'd probably give it a 6 overall. Just has so many little things that's so different about, so not Resident Evil, that I can't help but, you know, get a little aggravated with. I just didn't think it'd be good to LP that right now. But so I was talking about, you know, the things that I didn't, that I think I remembered well, that I haven't changed my opinion on since the first time I played it 5 or 6 years ago. Things that I ended up liking better than I remember, things that annoyed me even more than they did the last time, all that. And just honestly, I think if you're going for a creep factor, so far I'm about halfway through. I think Resident Evil Revelations does a pretty decent job. There's especially a part that I remember pretty distinctly from my first playthrough, and it still pleasantly surprised me with how creepy it was. Pretty much the first major boss fight in the game, you fight that like the comms officer who has holed himself up, but he found himself succumbing to the T-Abyss virus. Yeah, T-Abyss, I'm kind of dumb. He found himself succumbing to the T-Abyss virus, and regardless of having managed to isolate himself, I mean, there was even a diary you read from him in the general area where he's holed up in, where he actually managed to, you know, actually peg a few of the ooze monsters. I think that's what they're called, the ooze. That's also pretty lame. But I mean, it's not their actual name isn't, you know, made a big deal of in the game, so I don't count it too heavily against the game's overall personal score that I give it. But he actually managed to peg a few of them too, but I guess at some point they came into contact with him, so sure enough he, you know, he contracted the virus and eventually turned into the monster that he did. I thought it was really good atmosphere, and kind of in a way that made you really feel sorry for him in this situation. It didn't just creep you out. It was also kind of what TV tropes would call the tearjerker trope, mixed with nightmare fuel. Because you can hear him from far away when you go into the promenade part of the ship. That's what it was called, which kind of I think had like all the restaurants and stuff like that. You can hear him from far off, and when I first played the game, I remembered thinking, was that some kind of like call for help from the comms officer or whoever it was that was making the distress call? Was that like a distress call they just made for any ship in the area who could come rescue them once monsters started appearing everywhere because of the T-Abyss virus? And maybe like it's played on repeat over a PA system of some sort for everybody on ship to hear, and they kind of benefit from it, at least in the sense that, oh, okay, well, somebody has managed to get the call out for us, so we don't have to focus on getting to the comms part of the ship and worry about calling for help because somebody already did it for us. So, like a situation like that, I guess, is what it would be, what it would have been good for. And I was like, so is that like a recording playing even long after the guy who made the distress call died? And it sounded so like pathetic, for lack of a better term. I mean, if you played that game, hopefully you know what part I'm talking about. And that gave me a little, chill factor right there, while making me feel sorry for the victims, of the virus outbreak on the ship beforehand. But as I was getting closer and closer, it's getting louder and louder to where the room's coming from. Then I finally realized, once I noticed that somebody was pounding on the door where the Mayday call was coming from. When I saw that something was pounding on the door afterwards, I was like, oh crap, that's a monster. Or it's like it's somebody that's, just recently turned into a monster, and maybe this is like the last of his humanity getting through. Or in a sense, it's him having already gone insane, completely lost his mind to where that's all he can say anymore. It's just coming out as like some kind of incoherent babble. Because it doesn't make sense anymore for him to actually be calling for help when obviously no help is coming. And, that's what it was. And when you finally, you have to bust open the door to reach something beyond it. Key item, I forgot what it was exactly. When you have to bust through that, you see the monster that comes out, and that battle is actually really good. He's chasing you all throughout the a pretty large section of the ship. The promenade is it's a pretty wide open area, and he's like kind of alternating between like a human speech and actual, although it will kind of sound monstrous, with kind of a guttural tone to it. And between that and like very creepy, if he grabs hold of Jill, get killed because he has like an organic chainsaw on his arm, and he says something like tasty right before he grabs her up, so you have to dodge out of the way as soon as you hear him say that, because that means you're in imminent danger. But also, I noticed there were some points where he was saying things like, please stop, as you're shooting at him. He's like, I'm human. I like this poor guy, He's still crying for, for like some kind of release. He doesn't, a part of him doesn't want to be killed because, that means the end of his life, but also at the same time, it's like he thinks he can still be saved in terms of turn back into a human, and obviously that's just not going to be possible. So that was a really, really good, that definitely is up there for like top 5 like chilling and effective moments in any Resident Evil game to me. And of course, in I think in one of my more recent LPs, probably for Mega Man X8, I also talked about how I recently came across by far the most disturbing and effective part in terms of just creeping me out was the giant slug baby crying out in an actual human infant's tone for Ethan as like its daddy and stuff like that, just crawling after you. I mean, it's not like it wasn't even fast or anything, but still the fact that it was crawling after you And even though I never got caught, I somehow managed to make it through flawlessly, even though I had no idea what to do right away. But in my desperation, I definitely found a hiding place in time because I was just that panicked. Oh, this might be my first death. Yeah, that was all around the best scary moment in RE history for me. But yeah, so I mean the general creepy atmosphere so far, that's doing pretty good. In terms of that, that's a plus that I remember even better about the game this go round than the first time. But one thing that also pissed me off more was what I was already annoyed by in the first game, and Lantis can definitely tell you he might have gone on a rant about it in one of his LPs. Way back in 2012 or so when he first played the game when it first played the game when it first came out, and I think that was 2012 on its original form, the 3DS. One thing he hated was a lot of the playable characters. In fact, my eventual prognosis was that only half the playable characters of the 6 total were the only ones that were cool were Jill and Chris. I mean, thankfully they didn't ruin their characters or anything. Chris and Jill and Jill's partner, Parker. Oh! I was going for a final blow there, and he got me with a surprise new attack. He hadn't done that one at all before, so I thought I was safely out of range. So it was Jill, Chris, and Parker, but the other 3 that show up, Quint, the other BSAA agents, Quint, Keith, and Jessica, God, they all suck even more than I remember. And it was pretty much for all the same reasons Lantis hated them. Jessica, like, her only deal was that, she was hot for Chris, and acting, kind of catty and jealous, while, the only thing he was mostly concerned about was rescuing Jill and everything. And it's like, there's got to be more to you than that. And Keith and Quint were just ridiculous. They were like these 2 chuckleheads, amazingly capable in battle. Yeah, I mean, even for BSA agents, if they didn't have a name, like in so many other RE games, like especially the guys who accompany Chris on every mission, if they don't have a name, they're dead for sure. In fact, they'll fall to pretty much the first monster they encounter. But you actually fight a pack of invisible hunters with Keith and Quint, so I imagine, even though I am playing on a casual mode just to kind of get through the game without really making a big fuss out of it, I mean, I'm surprised that even on that level they're able to handle them. I do like Slash Beast. He has a very cool fighting style. You really got to keep on the move, know how to bob and weave. Okay, yeah, I knew I was going to be able to sneak in a last attack when his invincibility frame wore off before he'd be able to do another lunge, because that would have been my last hit probably. Zero's music and victory music in particular is also really good here. So that's our dash and special attack button move right there. Now we can, to tell you the truth, I don't think Zero didn't really have any bosses that were particularly weak. Some of the bosses just didn't seem to be weak to anyone at all, but Magma Dragoon, let's go ahead with that next. I can't recall any that are actually weak to his dashing slash attack that I just got from Slash Beast. Either that or I just didn't try it because it kind of leaves you wide open after you do it, you know? Okay, we need to move fast because, like, meteors or something come chasing after me soon. Yeah, that's our special attack we got from Slash Beast there. Actually, I think, now that I think about it, for those giant robots that kind of stand there and just shoot missiles, one from the top, one from the bottom, alternate between them. Uh-oh. Sat here too long, so now I'm going to end up... And the lightning attack will not do right there. Yeah, one lightning stab will take care of the Maverick I was just now talking about earlier. Now I believe there was a... Yeah, I could just straight double jump there, assuming I time it well enough to where a comet's not hitting me. And heart container. Nice. Oh, nice. I got the comet too in the same... Alright, now if we want to be able to survive Magma Dragoon, I mean, I've managed to get it to where I can actually, you know, fight him alone without needing any special help, but considering I'm on low health here, I'm not feeling very confident about it. So what's nice is even though he's by far the most aggressive Maverick boss, and, you know, he kind of says to himself, he's like, I was almost as good as you and X are, so... I turned, you know, Maverick for the chance to be able to fight you, because I'm just kind of a blood knight that way. But still, he's cool. I like him. That's why the game gives you this kind of extra boost by having the Ride Armor's Protection, be able to get some big damage on him before. I think my armor is continuously blinking, which means it's about to explode. No, it's still good. Never mind. Unfortunately, I kind of had to take that one on the chin because I can't cling to the... Oh, okay, it's about to go out. I'll take it from here. Said the game's really hanging up. Oh! I should have dashed the other way. Alright, gonna need to concentrate on this one. Oh! I should have jumped over him. I didn't remember that he can uppercut the other way, but of course, I don't know why I thought that, like he wouldn't uppercut the other way over the wall to where I was standing, because he can go into the lava. I mean, that's kind of what he's built for. Oh, he was doing it again. I thought he was actually gearing up for the attack where he kind of makes like a meteor storm. Well.
Ready.
So yeah, another thing was, one of the things that's just annoying about Quint in particular, amongst all the characters in RE Revelations, was the fact that his code name as a BSAA agent is literally Jackass. Like, why would you... It's like the writers, whoever wrote the story for RE Revelations, they're just saying, yeah, I'm making this character be stupid. Like, I just don't know if that really works in an RE game. Like, if you're actively trying to make a character annoying and embarrassing. Quint seems to be proud of it, too. And the fact, here's what's annoying about Jessica. Now look, I'm not going to claim to be this, this total snob to where I'm so far above having any kind of fan service or attractive, didn't mean to jump out of the armor there, any kind of attractive heroine in video games or fan service. I mean, it's just there's a time and place for it. And with Jessica's, it's so ridiculous. Like, when you when you get to the segment where she and Chris go to the ship to rescue Jill and Parker, and stupidly enough, that turns out to be the wrong ship. It's like an identical copy. I don't even know how you got the intel wrong on that. But she's dressed in a wetsuit like Jill, and Jill showed a little bit of cleavage. But you know what? That did not seem nearly as egregious. I didn't take issue with it as Jessica's. Jessica's has one leg just completely bare. Like, it's a full body suit, covers one leg up, her entire torso, her abdomen, shoulders, arms, everything except her head, and one leg. One leg is completely bare. It's just supposed to be like some kind of sexy modification to that suit, I guess. But I'm just like, okay, in the game world though, like, from your perspective, how does that make any sense to go into a situation you know is going to be full of monsters that you're going to have to fight, having one leg completely unprotected just for fan service? I mean, I'm sorry, it was ridiculous. I like Zero's cross arm pose right there too, and I forgot up until this last moment, I forgot that actually, unlike in X's side of the story, you only fight Colonel once with Zero. This is not it. There's the final battle with him in the final stages of the game, but this one is just a cutscene. And Iris is saying, please don't go to meet him for a confrontation. And I actually thought, for a while, I thought that this was actually a plot hole. But I think it might actually be part of the story, kind of a subtle cleverness. The fact that Colonel looks surprised, at first I wanted to be like, okay, why? Because he's the one who called Zero out here for a fight. No, I'm actually thinking he's surprised because he was led here by Sigma. Like, Sigma faked a call from Zero that actually might have been like some, for maybe some kind of compromise or peace talks. Just a parlay where they would not fight. Zero, Sigma, knowing Zero's kind of far more aggressive nature than X, probably faked a call from Colonel challenging into a fight. He knew Zero wouldn't be able to resist that. I don't think Colonel knew that Zero was here to fight at all. That's why he looked surprised when Zero like shouted for him like that, like, you know, like, I'm about to kill you. So that might have actually been it, and that's actually kind of clever. I mean, it's all part of Sigma's scheme, ultimately being a Maverick to just screw up things and create conflict and chaos. Okay, so of course Frost Walrus is definitely weak to the weapon I just got from Magma Dragoon, which is this awesome flaming uppercut. Way better than the flaming uppercut in 6, which is just, I mean, it's okay. I don't hate the one in X6. It's just this one is far more useful since it's not a standing uppercut. This one Zero flies into the air a little bit, and I just thought that was cool. Alright. Almost landed on a spike, and the fact that the frames are skipping a little bit every now and then might end up inadvertently going into one. Okay, so you guys can't see it right now, but and Lantis would hate this. But on my other monitor, whoop! Oh crap! Oh, yep, I was too slow. I started thinking about what I was about to say too much, and yeah. On my other monitor right now, I got a picture of like this husky making like a stupid face, like he just. And I've seen it used in memes where like somebody's telling a bad joke. And I added my own caption to it, just taking that picture by itself. And it says, "We got to the root of the problem with the husky." Like, see what I just did there? And Atlantis hates that. First, like the way Chris delivers that pun, it's just like he knows it's so bad. And but that's why I like it. He just manages to do it in such a knowing way that's what really sells that for me. But Lantis hates that part of Resident Evil 1. So RE fans definitely know what I'm talking about there. I don't think that's one of the like more famous quotes from any RE game, but still it should be known well enough. After fighting Plant 42 and he comes out, Rebecca catches him in the main foyer. It's like, "Oh my gosh, I heard what was good, I heard something going on in there. Are you okay?" And he goes, "Yep, so much for him. We got to the root of the problem." So I made my own meme out of that with the... And that's the desktop background image on my other monitor just now, even though y'all can't see it. I forget that I had these things until they come up, because I have like 1,000 different images, that rotate through desktop background. Okay. Really lagging right here. I guess many things at once. Really, it's kind of sad that my computer is having a hard time handling this. It's been blue screening a lot lately too, so honestly, I told Lantis just now, I was like, I might have to get a new computer just like you when my tax return comes in. I cannot remember exactly what special item it was for Zero, trapped in the ice block somewhere down in this area. I might have already picked it up without realizing it. But let's just check them all out right quick, it's not going to take too long. Just move on. The flaming uppercut will take care of that as long as I'm in a good position to do so, starting right off when I see it. But yeah, these little dragonflies that come by, if you leave them long enough, they turn the surrounding area to ice, so that can make you end up, you know, slipping onto some spikes or something. But there is definitely tougher obstacles to get through on a routine basis in the later X games. Ooh, got him just in time. He was really powering up for it. Okay, and here we are at Frost Walrus. I like he calls like Zero a kid, even though I just never really looked at Zero that way, like as in being under 18 or anything like that. I mean, I know Reploid's a they don't exactly, or they're not going to have the same, you know, change in appearance due to age like humans would, but you know, it's like that's how Walrus taunts him by calling him Junior and Kid. He's just like, who's this guy? He's not going to be able to do anything to me. And Zero's like, excuse me, do you know who I am? I was Dr. Wily's best creation, and that dude could make a mean robot if he wanted to, and I'm considered his best, so you, sir, are no match against me. Just finish him off with a slide attack just for kicks. Yeah, as you can see, while he's a bit more of a brute than Maverick Dragoon, his lack of speed, quickness of attack is kind of makes him far less of a challenge than Maverick Dragoon was. Like, even if I didn't use the special weapon. So this one is also really cool. It's this is my up in the air and then down plus special button attack, and that just, you know, kind of creates a plunging downward spike with a glacier, a mini glacier attached to Zero Saber. It's pretty cool. So we also have a jet ski stage, just like in one area of X5. Except I do like this one better. It's not as difficult, although I might still die a time or two. So one part where I can grab a heart container too, I just had to remember not to jump it or just kind of slide off. Up. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. I think I should have just coasted off naturally to actually grab that heart container, because the platform that normally my normal instinct would be to jump onto first and cross the gap, that actually rammed into me, pushed me off screen. Of course, in this kind of level, well, that means death. There we go. Oh, crap. Can't believe I actually lost that one. Now I'm starting to suck. Even though I'm taking damage by not dashing across those exploding platforms, I always felt more comfortable not doing it. I can except I dashed right into the one narrow pit that was remaining in that area. Wow, I managed to time that so wrong. And if you hadn't noticed, something else that I've thought of, this is the first X game really where, at least in game, now I know there were like adaptations, especially in Japan, of previous X games, like manga. There was a short animated movie about Mega Man X, like the prelude to that, called the Deus Sigma. There's stuff like that. Before X4, there wasn't really like a mini story to each Maverick stage, like each boss Maverick, why you were running off to fight him. And X4 was kind of the star of that, and it's a nice little touch. I mean, it's not totally necessary, but you know. So if you hadn't noticed, that did start happening with X4. Like, for instance, with Maverick Dragoon, the thing was, you know, we recognized that he was a traitor to the Maverick Hunters. We understand why once we fight him, but you know, he fled to the volcano because that's kind of like safe territory for him considering how he was built and all that. So we're definitely going to send our best hunters X or Zero after him because nobody else would be a match for him. Little things like that. I can't remember what this one about Jet Stingray was. I just missed an energy tank up there. But hopefully, I still retained enough of my mojo with this game to only need one, if any at all, against the final boss of the game. So I won't worry about it right now. But anyway, like for instance, like the thing with Slash Beast on the military train, it was just, you know, cut off a major supply route for the Repla Force. You know, really deal a crippling blow to him in that way. So it's just kind of nice to have that. Now, this guy is weak to the Glacier attack, but, you know, it's kind of easier staying under him and doing my jump attack than trying to, you know, climb up the wall behind him, you know, in that narrow gap, or do it before he comes down and hope that I got the right wall that he appeared on, and then Glacier through him. I mean, it's just really not feasible for me. Now here, you know, if I'm willing to take damage, that is, you know, I can do that. But a small memory I have when I first got this game in middle of 8th grade. I think it had been out less than a year because I think this came out late '97. So yeah, I only got it a few months after it came out, like right at Christmas. That will be at the start of 1998. He lived down the street from me that went to my later he moved off, so I had Wayne. If Lance is, he should remember who I'm talking about because we had like a few like sleepovers during that time and stuff, all of us together. You know, Wayne didn't know a thing about man, but he did come over my house a lot because, you know, he was real fascinated with the PlayStation and Final Fantasy VII. He didn't have one himself, so, you know, when he came over one time I was playing X4, and at this party it was like, oh yeah, man, this guy's cool because I like the way he's really going, yeah! Like whenever he takes that dive at you and goes across the screen, if you hadn't noticed, he's like, yeah! Just a small memory I have of that. I don't know how I remember it, but good times, hanging out as little kids and doing nothing but playing video games all night and watching anime. Wayne especially liked it if I showed him Evangelion or something, which, I mean, I say God knows why, but I do understand why. At the time, I was an Evangelion fan because anime was still kind of underground in the 90s, you know. So I felt like I was a little bit of a rebel just for owning anime on VHS at $19.95 a pop for like a 60-minute video. I just didn't realize until a little bit later, just how batshit insane Evangelion gets towards the end of the series, starting about volume 9 or 10. At that time, I think for a period of a year or two, I was Wayne and Lantis's hookup for video games for the most part, and pretty much entirely anime. I have a vague memory of Wayne especially thinking it was awesome, whenever I got one of those more adult-oriented anime, such as Dirty Pair, which had a few nude scenes, stuff like that, even though it wasn't outright porn. And now something like that seems like nothing. I'm like, whoa, as a 13, 14-year-old kid, they actually let me buy from every EB store, they let me buy something like Dirty Pair Flash, which shows, bare breasts, sometimes. And it's like, compared to anime now, like, that does not seem perverted at all. Or even really adult-oriented to where you're wondering, like, how it was you got away with being able to buy that on your own without an accompanying adult or something like that. At that time, that was mostly when I first became an anime fan. Again, mostly because of just how kind of seemed like a rebellious thing for me to do, since it just wasn't as widespread in America. It seemed like an underground thing. My main hookup was either Electronics Boutique or I think Media Play, which long closed down a long time ago. I think so did Electronics Boutique or EB. And I think if I can... Oh boy, yep, I probably run out of time thanks to that. Sure have. I think an energy tank was waiting as the prize at the end of this. Almost had it. I'll run back into this stage right quick after beating the boss to grab it. It'll be nice to have at least one. So yeah, Wayne was especially appreciative whenever he came over and like, oh yeah, dude, I got this newest anime which like shows tits sometimes. He was probably the only one out of all of us who, hung out together at that period of my life, who lost his virginity like probably before high school ended. I think the rest of us, well, hey, I still am. And I'm totally cool with that. But Wayne just always did seem like that kind of guy. All about the ladies, to put that in a delicate way. I do need to ask Lantis next time I hang out with him, like, hey, do you have any memories of Wayne, like the year and a half or so that he lived down the street from me, and, we had like a few hangout nights together and stuff like that? Okay, so the flame attack can also be used against this guy. It doesn't really do a lot of damage, but it keeps him under control. Like, it instantly causes him advantage to where he will not be able to pull off his attack. So as long as you're still sliding around and act fast enough once he does appear, then, pretty much a done deal as a fight. Here, I'll just kind of let him fight normally from now on, just so maybe you can, if you haven't played this game before, you get a showcase of what kind of attacks he can do. Yeah, that's his homing missile attack, so I'm going to go ahead and dispense with that. And I just now noticed how surprised his face looks. I never looked closely at his face before in his I'm about to explode pose. Come to think, the next, our last guy that we have to fight is Storm Owl. That was also like another time Wayne was like, "Oh man, that's cool the way that guy acts. I like him," because of Storm Owl's pre-battle pose where he like stomps the ground really hard and it just makes a cool noise and salutes at the same time. But first, let's go ahead and try to get that energy tank.
Ready.
It really is pretty much, I have to make sure I do not get caught into those. Because that uses up so much time. In fact, if it wasn't for like kind of the rotating, you know, kind of twirling blade thing that Zero had got from Split Mushroom for his jump attack, along with the double jump ability, so you get a 2-for-1 deal there. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to fight these things off at all. You'd have to like reflect them, which of course, you know, if you can't go through them, if you have to keep beating them back, well then, you know, that's gonna waste your time. As soon as you see the hurry up message come on the little radar that's surrounding Zero, as soon as that comes up, once it disappears, again, you lose a rank, and then, you know, you won't be able to get the special item. And I've probably already done it. Unless I can somehow really act fast. Okay, if I just keep double jumping instead of... That might have saved some time. Okay, as long as hurry up message does not disappear before I go into the portal, I'm good. Okay, that should have done it. Good. Alright, let's get out of here. Let's save just in case my computer blue screens. Like I said, that's been happening a lot lately. I didn't expect that to happen at barely 4 years old, but here we are.
Ready.
Okay, so what we got from Cyber Peacock, which, you know, the story behind that was just... Iris just summarized it real quickly for me. A bug has corrupted the network, so dive into cyberspace and destroy it. Okay, the, like, Maverick Hunter Communications Network, I guess? Or maybe, like, the internet for whatever this universe's version of the internet in general is. I don't know, but whatever it is screwed things up, so you need to take care of it. Now, was there a hard... No, it was just a... Hey, no harm in grabbing that, though. Also for the energy tank. And there's also a heart container we get just by diving across as soon as... Yeah, right there. Also, like the charge attack this thing has, it's going to destroy anything in one hit. Which... I wasn't positive I was going to make that jump while staying inside the armor, so just decided to go ahead and bail out. We'll flame uppercut that. Actually took a... I mean, I know I wasn't hitting it fully with my uppercut, but I'm still surprised at the amount of punishment that thing took. Alright, we just need to hop across those right quick. This is easily taken down being on my level, and boom, we find a way to teleport. I did mention back when we went through this with this game with Ix several years ago, I was like, what is it about that area that made Zero suddenly be able to teleport to the appropriate location? And, you know, I guess I've been reading during my downtime at work for like the last few months. I've been just getting into the TV Tropes website, just seeing, you know, what it is about, in every little work of fiction that I know, all the tropes that apply, and if whether I've noticed them before, stuff like that. And one of those times, like searching through every video game that I know of that had crazy fan theories, behind it, and there's not really any proof of it, but it's like, but for the most part, when you hear it, you're like, what, that does kind of that would make a kind of sense if it were true. And I think there was one about the reason why, if X and Zero, or well, and even in the earlier Mega Man universe when it was just Mega Man, on the NES games and such, why is it that they can't just teleport straight to Wily's castle or straight to any robot master? And it's like, well, it probably just, if they can go anywhere across the world, because supposedly all these stages are literally throughout the entire world. And, something like, well, there's probably a kind of special, like, signal jamming interference that the robot master, being in close enough proximity to him, can create to where you can't just, literally teleport straight to him. And I get that. That's why, that's like, kind of a logical reason for you to have all the stages that you need to go through, that probably stretch for, say, half a mile, quarter mile, somewhere in the range of, in a close enough range of the boss that you're going after. And that's probably why you can only get so far away. You can only get so close to the boss automatically, and then you kind of have to hoof it the rest of the way. And I thought, hey, that makes sense. If that's really, kind of what's implied. Of course, the most logical explanation is you wouldn't have much of a game if you just fight the bosses one at a time, just one after the other, and then straight to Dr. Wily and teleport directly into his innermost chamber in his giant castle where he's waiting for you. Alright, well, I think that does pretty good for one episode. We will definitely take care of the rest in short order on next one. This has gone on a little bit too long. Alright, see you next time, guys.